Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. You are listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. Unfortunately, the Giannis dream appears to be dead. Giannis watch is dead. KD watch, kind of a fantasy, to be honest. I don't really think that that's a real thing. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. If so, be looking forward to covering an all-time great here in Toronto. And the NBA playoffs will return tonight. So in the meantime, it's back to reality. Raptors with the 9th pick. This is the biggest piece of news to look forward to. And joining me once again to discuss this draft is Libaan Osman of the Canadian Basketball Show of the Toronto Star. You know, I'm reading your iTunes podcast reviews, and I see one here that says, "Congrats to Libaan Osman for launching his own basketball program. He is one of the best journalists covering the Canadian basketball scene, and I look forward to hearing more of his insights." It says Libaan Osman is a must listen. What up, bro?
My guy, I can't thank you enough. Appreciate you pulling up the iTunes. Wait, what's going on with Giannis? My phone died. I haven't seen any Twitter stuff for the past few hours.
Well, first off, Giannis has been just like chilling in Brazil with the whole family.
He's living.
He's chilling, you know what I mean? It doesn't look like he's like preparing to change up the whole NBA.
Yeah.
More importantly, he gave an interview while he was out there in Brazil where he said something like, I look forward to getting back to the finals with the Bucks. So, that's a little tough. And then he was kind of going at Shams a little bit. So,
Ooh. Oh, I seen that. He's funny for that. He
is pretty funny because Shams has been the one like leading the charge that like, Giannis might want out. You know what I mean? It's going to be a crazy offseason when Giannis wants out. And then he subtweeted him with the anyone miss Woj, which by the way, I know the Raptors front office miss Woj too, man. That in terms of who they were trying to leak to, it was Woj. It was not Shams. The Raptors were a very pro Woj organization. But listen, you know what? All the exciting stuff's out the window, man. We got the number 9 pick. We back here. The draft is in about 10, 12 days here. So let's. I think one way to look at the draft is just you look at all the mock drafts that are out there, and then you look at the candidates to see who these draft experts have the Raptors picking. So I kind of want to do that. Basically, I compiled, I think, 6 or 7 of the most popular mock drafts out there, and then we'll just go through some of the options. You cool with that, Libaan?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm excited too because I'll be at the draft, so I'll be speaking to some of these guys. And I want to find out who worked out for the Raptors because there's no leaks. There's no one's saying who worked out for who yet.
They don't leak nothing, man. All we know so far is, I mean, there's obviously lots of other guys who have like done interviews, like whatever. But like in terms of like the major known guys, I think like they said Derik Queen had a workout in Toronto.
Expected.
Okay, that's kind of nice because his name will come up on this list. Ryan Nembhard, I believe you're actually Ryan Nembhard's agent now.
Don't do that. But he's rising, man. Especially with all the players going back for NIL, man. The second round of the draft, I feel like a lot of teams are kind of like, I don't know if it's teams are going to want to have second round picks in the future, but I think he's definitely a second round pick. So I'm excited to see potentially where he falls.
You know what? Actually, the NIL thing is interesting because it's like I didn't realize how much money some of these guys were making.
It's a bag.
Like you look at like a guy like Xavier Lee, for example, right? He's a guard here in Toronto. He was in the Ivy League and now where did he transfer to? Florida?
Florida.
Yeah. So he obviously had a chance maybe if he came out this year to be a second round pick, especially with how many guys are dropping out. The thing is, when you figured out how much he's making through NIL, it's like $6 million, I think.
Yeah.
Would you rather be a second round pick or would you rather go to Florida, the reigning champions, and also make $6 million?
$6 million? Like what? I'm not. Why would I? And like for him, in situation, right? He's likely a two-way guy. He might spend time in the G League. Would you rather travel from city to city playing in the G League, or make $6 million, live on a college campus, and enjoy life for a little bit?
Yeah.
Come on, it's an easy decision.
You know what? It's gonna be really interesting because like. Like a G League guy, like let's say you even on a two-way, you're probably making like 500,000 in a year, depending on how much obviously you spend in the NBA time versus in the G League time. But like, it's starting to change the economics a little bit in terms of like what this kind of stuff will look like. And I'm sure it'll be interesting for a team like the Raptors, who have traditionally done really well in the second round. You know, you look at guys like Norm, you look at last year with Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo. Like, they find value in these guys, but at the same time, it's like you probably will end up in a situation where you either have like really promising freshmen who will come out as first round picks, maybe some really promising sophomores who like, you know, make a jump, but otherwise there's probably going to be a lot of seniors who end up coming out in the second round in the future because of the fact that you actually have way more incentive to stay in college some of these days.
Yeah, and the funny thing is too, I heard like a top 20 pick is debating or was debating whether to go back or not. Like if you're in the late first round, you're gonna make more money in college than staying in the draft.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. But once you hit that top 18 pick range, then we can talk about, okay, I might be making more in the NBA. So even like late first round picks, there's a guy, Auburn, Tahid Pettifor. I thought he was really good. Killed it in the draft combine, had a good like pro day too in Chicago. He goes back, and he's probably going to be a first round pick next year. So a lot of money to make in college basketball.
There you go. Okay, that's not going to affect any of these guys at the number 9 pick because all these guys are going to be picked very high. Let's start with the first mock draft that we want to look at. This one is from ESPN, which is from Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Wu. At the 9th pick, Givony's pick that fills the biggest need for the Toronto Raptors is Derik Queen, center from Maryland, freshman. You know, he goes on to list sort of like basically the values that Derik Queen has. That's obviously on the offensive end. He's a very creative, crafty offensive player at the center position. Probably it's a debate whether he's going to play 4 or play 5, but I think definitely based on his skill set right now, he's more effective as a 5. But you know, he's got like, he's quick on his feet, he's light on his feet, he's very agile for a man who is 6'10", like 240, 245 in that range. Libaan, I know I've asked you about Derik Queen before, but where are you at with this style of player where it's like you have an offensively oriented center?
Yeah, it fits with what the Raptors like Darko system, right? That's when I think about this 0.5 offense type of style play where you play through the bigs, that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of concerned in terms of the fit to what the Raptors need. Okay. And I don't think Derik Queen can maybe fit that. Because, like, if you're building around Sky, he doesn't need a guy that, honestly, another negative defender. And Derik Queen, I think, I think that's probably his worst trait. I don't think he's a good defender. I think at times, like, he doesn't try. Like, it's lazy defense. I've seen people bring up the conditioning issue. And I think the shooting, too, is also a big thing. That's the question mark. I think I was looking at his stats and I'm like, this guy hit his first 3 a month into the season. He hit 2 in December. And then when do you think he hit his next 3?
I don't know, but I've seen some of the draft combine shooting videos and
it was bad.
It had a little hitch in it, yeah.
And the next time he hit a 3 from December, it was the last game of the season, March 15th.
Damn.
Against Michigan. So he's not a shooter at all coming into this. And then people were saying, like, it's going to be a very bad shooting performance at the combine. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I wanted to get a video of Derik Queen shooting just to, you know, hype up the Raptors fans, show them, it's a potential guy that could fall to the range. I started recording. No shade. I couldn't find multiple makes. And I was like, I'm just not going to put this out there because it's not, it doesn't, like, I'm not here to, like, make a guy look bad. Sure. If the defense, if they're looking at the shot that the Raptors think we could fix, I would look at him. The defense is just a big concern when you have I feel like a lot of negative defenders on the Raptors right now where it's going to put a lot of pressure on Scotty, man, to be that help defender where Grady, do you think he's ever going to be a plus defender? Do you think RG is going to be a plus? Do you think Quickly is going to be a plus defender? Ingram, question mark. Like, it's just a lot of guys that Scotty's going to have to, like, bail out, I feel like. So that's my biggest like issue with Queen. I think the shooting could come along because he does have nice touch like around the mid-range area. So I'm not really concerned about that. But the 3-point, like, it's bad. Like, people thought at the combine it was bad, but he's gonna come into the facility, teams are gonna talk to him. But the thing that I think gels with the Raptors is like you talk about this youth movement, right? Where his personality, I think, gels exactly with the way the Jamal Sheds.
He's likable.
Kobe Walton.
I like that kid, man. He's
funny. He's funny, man. I remember posting a tweet about him complaining about the taxes in Toronto, and people got pissed about that.
Strike one.
It was funny though. I was like, you know what? This guy's funny. Like he's not. He wasn't doing it maliciously. He wasn't like had no bad intent. He's just trying to be funny in his post game, and I think he'll bring a good energy to Toronto. But the shooting, The defense is a big concern for me. But man, this guy's probably the best passer at his size in college basketball. The way he handles the ball, he has so much like counters around the rim.
Yes,
He's a
man.
guy that, if they believe that they can fix the shooting, I would look at him.
Let me put up some footage, because I feel like Derik Queen's one of those guys where, like, on paper, when you look at the draft combine stuff, that's not going to help him because he's not an athletic guy. It's just like it's just not, the outside shooting is not necessarily there. But when you watch some of the game tape of what he does, man, I mean, like, he is a big guard at center, which I think is really, really interesting because, especially because, we've been the last 2 months, we've been watching playoff basketball. And I'm watching a lot of, like, the deeper you go in the playoffs, the more limited your skill set is, like, the more, unplayable that you get. And I agree that, like, if he doesn't develop the outside shooting, or if he doesn't become a good defender, I even have questions as to whether or not you can start him in a productive way. But there's also, like, enough in his skill set where I'm just like, he's got the size to bang. He understands sort of like how to get his own offense. Even when you give him to him on the roll and stuff, he has like little shifts and pivots, like right here, like boom, like taking that extra dribble to give a little bit extra time to like make a better pass so you can kick it out. Like, there's an offensive skill level there that I'm really confident in that, but the secondary skills need to be better. And you know what? The one thing that's good with him is he does have really agile feet. So when he does want to play defense, I feel like he can at least get a little bit closer to the type of guys that he needs to get to. But he's not going to be like a guy who shuts guys down on the rim. He's not going to be a guy who is going to be blocking that many shots. But I do like the idea of like a big body, you can finish with either hand. And again, just like the handle, man, there's an agility and a handle there that I think is really, really interesting, especially with how much the Raps want to play out the post. But I totally hear your other concerns, though, because if there's one thing is, like, I feel like this would be a slam dunk if he could shoot the three or if he could really guard.
Yeah, he probably goes top 4 in this draft if he can do either. But the thing, too, is, like you said, I think him and Scotty potentially in a short roll, pick and roll situation, that's going to be a lot of fun potentially. Just the way they can just manipulate defenses. Like he has this way of just like knowing where the extra pass is. So
right there.
Look at that right there. Just knowing where the defense is going to react. He just has. You could just tell. Even when he was playing on Mount Vert, man, like that team was stacked with him, Cooper, Ace and Well. I'm forgetting guys, but like the way he was playing, man, on that team, like you could tell, like there's no chance that Montverde team was going to lose. A lot of it has to do with him. It's just the way he can find guys. So my biggest question too is, like, I don't think he's quick enough to guard the 4. Is he big enough to guard the 5? That's my thing too. I'm like trying to figure out what he's gonna play. But then sometimes you're just like, some of these guys don't fit in a real box, right? Where
no, for sure.
But I don't know if he's right away. I think right away the defense, I don't think he gets playing time just off the defense. I think that's the concern for me.
Yeah.
And they want to win, right? The Raptors want to compete.
Well, first off, we don't even know if the Raptors would be using this pick, okay? Because, if one of these big trades materialize, even after the draft, even after the Raptors take whoever, like, it's not like, okay, you drafted him, he's on your team guaranteed. Because, like, Andrew Wiggins never ended up being the number one player for Cleveland back then, because he got traded, obviously, to Minnesota for Kevin Love back when LeBron joined the team in 2014. But, like, I don't know, man. There's just like, there's a skill set there. Like, I do believe it, but you're right. Like, you would have to compromise a couple of things. Like, the closest playing style, I think people have mentioned this name a lot, but I think out of all the, like, the Zebo, Zach Randolph, the DeMarcus Cousins, I think the closest one in the league right now would be Şengün. I think there is the agility, it's the footwork. The thing with Şengün, though, like, he got into a really good defensive program already with Ime Udoka, who has really whipped him up into shape in terms of, being able to play at various different styles of defense, being a really prolific rebounder. I think, obviously, like, Şengün is not a guy who's going to get up above the rim and protect the basket, and he can move his feet, but he's also not a guy you're going to switch 1 through 5 with. But I think that's probably the ceiling of, like, what he is as a player. But skill player, I could totally see why, again, like, most of these picks we're going to have the Raptors taking a center.
Yeah, and from what I heard, I think the Raptors really like him. So
well, there you go.
So they might be like very like this type of center, this type of big that can do a lot of things. I think Masai even like ran into him at the what do you call it, the lottery, and was like saying what's up to him. So like there's a lot of stuff that I'm like,
he said, go get yourself a tax accountant, man.
Yeah,
he said, we'll figure that out for you.
So he might be on there. They've been following forever. That's why I'm like,
yeah, of course.
Like, I'm giving my opinion. The Raptors have been following this kid since he was young, right? They're gonna know everything, the ins, the outs of like whether they think he can develop a shot, whether he has the touch, he has good touch around the rim, and maybe you can. I'm trying to think of what his free throw percentage was. It might have been 76% if I'm getting it right.
He's got a decent touch, yeah.
So if he can, a lot of people when they look at if a guy can expand his 3-point shot, they look at the free throw and they're like, does he have good touch in the free throw? Can he shoot free throws? And he does. 76% is not bad, right? So it might be something that they look at like this guy we can work on the not even like the form is, I don't think it's that bad because like when
he's just kind of upright, man. Like you know what I mean? Like he doesn't really like bend on the shot, which is not uncommon. Like for example, we had a guy like Marc Gasol. Bro, Mark never jumped on his shot. The guy would just shoot a flat-footed three. So it's kind of like that.
And it's different too because like watching it on film and like watching it during the season, I'm like, that's not a bad form. But then watching it in person, I'm like, that is a funky looking form. Like seeing it in real, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
I think Grange had a video of it because like he was kind of wiggling his hip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I told you, I was trying to capture like 2-3 makes, man. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. But real when I'm saying this kind of stuff, it's not like to diminish or like
this is information, bro.
But it's just like stuff that I'm like, okay, I think if he can figure out the shooting, I think he could be a really good player down the line.
Okay. Let's go to the next mock draft. This one from Sam Vecini, friend of the program, over at The Athletic. He's must read when it comes to the draft. He's put out his draft guide. It is hundreds of pages as always. It goes into great depth, not in the first round, but the second round, freaking undrafted market. He's doing everything. So who does Sam Vecini see the Raptors drafting at the 9th pick? It is Khaman Maluach, the 7'1" center from Duke University, 19 years old. He sort of lists a couple of reasons. Again, with Jakob Poeltl potentially hitting free agency next year, the Raptors could use a long-term answer at center. Many people around the league have connected Maluach here because of his time at the NBA Academy in Africa and Masai Ujiri's efforts to promote basketball within the region. Okay, I think that is a little bit. Those are all things that are true. Like it is true that Maluach played at the NBA Academy in Africa. By the way, was teammates with
Alrish Shamshe.
Shamshe, exactly. They were roommates. They played the 4-5 together. And it's always definitely true that Masai has done everything possible in humanity to promote basketball in Africa. That does not necessarily mean, though, that the Raptors are only going to be drafting African players. I think that's a very lazy thing. The easiest thing you could do, actually, is just to look at who the Raptors have drafted over the years. I don't think Grady Dick's African. You know what I mean?
That's Kansas, man.
You know what? I heard a phrase. It was he was corn fed. He's corn fed. Corn fed white boy. Yeah, I think that they were trying to describe Christian Brown actually with that phrase. But in any case, it is a bit of a lazy comparison. And I'm not saying that that's what Sam is referring to here. I think that that's probably the general perception around the league is like you kind of connect 2 and 2 when you're trying to guess who's going to pick what. But I think Maluach fits what the Raptors need in terms of, again, another guy who the Raptors don't have, a rim protecting center. We've also talked about him as well, but you said this is your guy.
This is my guy. I'm scared that he might be gone by now. I'll be. I don't know. It could go 2 ways, but I might take this guy in the top 5. To be honest, like he's somebody 5? That I think about the first time I watched him play Hoop Summit last year. And he just dominated practices. Like when I tell you, like he was going up against Alrish Shamshe, so like not to say Alrish Shamshe, but
he was crushing. He was crushing him.
He was crushing, man. I told you I got a video of him dunking on Alrish. If he gets drafted by the Raptors, I'll post that. But like,
post that. Yeah,
I'm gonna post that. But I think he's that good, man. And he didn't play that great in the actual Hoop Summit game, but scouts, like executives, they don't really look at that. They come for the practices and they dip out for the game because the game is just really a showcase. It's not they don't really look at that. And I feel like he's kind of taking a reduced role at Duke. Think about it. I think right after Basketball Without Borders last February, he might have been like top 3 in mock drafts.
We've seen some top 3 because I think the hype at that point was this is the next Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and he was MVP, I believe, in that. No, he was on the All-Star. He was defensive MVP, I believe, Basketball Without Borders at All-Star Weekend. I think it was in Indiana that year, he was in Indiana that year, and he was. He's from that point. I feel like it's kind of like you go to Duke, you're gonna be behind Cooper Flag, right? It's like
no question.
You take a reduced role, and he kind of like that tells me like this guy can come in, do his job, become this pick and roll finisher, man. SWAT like protect the rim. They even had him playing in different coverages, which I was shocked because I thought he was really just like a drop big. But he's a guy that the upside, the shooting, man. Like I was talking to I don't know if I should say this, but I was talking to a scout at the combine, and they were saying like they spoke to him, and like he kind of changed up his game where he wasn't shooting at Duke. Like if you look at the shots, he shot threes once in a while, but
very once in a while, yeah.
But at the NBA Academy of Africa, he was shooting. He was shooting that like that ball like it was like that, like he was a shooter. So he just completely changed up his game going to Duke. And they were telling me, like, they asked him, like, why'd you like continue shooting? Like, why'd you just shoot all the time at Academy of Africa? And his answer was basically like, that's the area I wanted to work on and improve on, and like that's my focus. So like we're not seeing it at Duke, but and I watched it at the combine. He has a good touch, man. He sometimes shoots it a bit like like over the top, where it's like a bit hard when he releases it. But other than that, man, I think like the rim protection, the Raptors need a guy. Like if you're thinking that Jakob Poeltl is not going to be there long term, you need a guy that can fill that role. Maybe as a backup big, maybe long term. I don't know if he spends time in the G League, but I think he's a guy that you don't think so?
No, you're playing from day one, man.
Yeah, day from day one.
We need a backup center first off. You know
so
what I mean?
Exactly. So if their plan is okay, yo, Jakob's extension's coming soon, we need a guy to kind of. And remember the last time we didn't have Jakob, man. We were bouncing through Aaron Baines. We were bouncing through Alex Lynn. Like
we were in the mud, bro. Birch. We were gassing up Kem Birch, man.
Right. And we're desperate. We're desperate right now for a backup big. So they need to figure out that situation. So that's when people bring up Derik Queen and Khaman Maluach, I'm like, those two are probably the ones that I will look at very closely, because if you're not drafting that, you're gonna have to go out and get something that can back up Jakob.
No, okay, so I don't really have any tape for this, because I mean we've shown tape of Maluach previously. You know, I think that part of the reason I wanted to have a bigger discussion is just because I think that like the idea of like a rim running, you know, shot protecting big, you know, like I think when you say that, you're like probably like, okay, like Tyson Chandler, for example, like that's always the guy that gets brought up. Thing is, like athletically, there is something with Maluach where it's like he's not quite that agile and that explosive.
Yeah,
does that concern you at all?
It does. But he's so big. Like that's like his size, 7 foot. I forget what his wingspan was, but like there's another like.
It was crazy. It was like it's like 7'8" or something like that. 7'6" or something, a minimum. Yeah.
Wingspan massive. It's so much because he's not Derek Lively when I think about it. Like he's not a guy that's gonna catch lobs. Like but. And the hands kind of concern me, but then I also think about this guy hasn't like we talk about Pascal not playing basketball for so long. It's the same situation with Khaman. Like
whoa, no, I can't. I gotta stop you there, man. If you watch Pascal in New Mexico, Pascal was giving people buckets already by then.
Of course, but like
it's just no one was watching basketball in New Mexico.
Yeah, but like
except for the Raptors.
Late to start, right? Late to start kind of journey, right? Maluach has, I would say, even like 10 times like that story, right?
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So he's a guy that certain stuff that I'm like, that's fixable. The hands, I feel like that's going to come with time. Like you have a guy like Kon Knueppel storing him perfect lobs.
Yes.
Cooper Flagg storing perfect lobs. And I'm thinking like, swap that with Scotty. This should work. Like I'm just thinking of a Scotty, I would say is a way better playmaker than those guys right now, right? So I would think that he would fit easily in the situation. And this guy sets hard screens. Like the screens he sets, people, man.
He's just wide. Like there's nothing you can do. Even if you're trying to get around the screen, you got to go a long distance to get around the screen.
Yeah, so it's a lot of like, and he get like he when he rolls, man, he rolls and he calls for the ball and he's up in the air, like he knows what he's doing. Just the small stuff to where it's like the hands kind of like fixing it, the shooting upside that. He's probably have to play drop, but I think Duke showed that he can somewhat like guard out the perimeter a bit too. So
it's a little easier to do that in college just because there's a lot more zone defense in college, and also the 3-point line's a little bit closer, and there's less like dominant shooters and stuff like that. So I think there is certainly footage of him like playing, like for example when they played Illinois, for example, and it was like the matchup was like you got to stop Yakuchonis. It's like who's a pretty good pull up 3-point shooter, especially for college. Like he was out there, he was chasing guys and stuff like that. So he has that ability. He's not like flat footed. The only thing I was just like for me, I'm just like I wish there was like 20% more athletic pop, because I'd be all over this. Like I'd be more than happy to kick Maluach anyway, just because of the fact that he does provide a skill set that Raptors don't currently have. I think that it's not easy to sign this type of player either, and so and I do believe maybe long term that like the shooting will come, because I think maybe one of the projectables I've seen from him was like Brook Lopez. And Brook Lopez, by the way, certainly is not like ever athletically dominant, right? Like if anything, he's kind of slow. But Brook Lopez has turned himself into a really effective defender because of the fact that he's able to time it right, use his size, and just like force people to shoot over the top of him. I think Milwaukee's also helped by having him play alongside Giannis, and so he could be at the rim. Giannis can rotate over and stuff like that. But the 3-point shot is kind of interesting for me. But again, these are probably the top two that I would want the Raps to get, is Derik Queen and Maluach.
Yeah, the only other concern I might have is the conditioning, because he only played like 21 minutes a game at Duke. I think that's gonna, and you're playing like a 30 game. You played like obviously through the whole tournament,
sure.
But college basketball is like 30-40 games, right? If you make it all the way to the tournament, that kind of stuff, right? So he's not a guy that's playing 30 minutes a game, right? He's playing 21. The conditioning's probably like has to get up to speed with the NBA, that kind of stuff. But if like we said, like the Raptors front office, like when we talk about scouting globally, especially in Africa, like they're probably the best at it. They probably have the most resources, the most connections, everything like that. So they have all the intel, right? It's just about whether they think Maluach can take the next step in all these categories we just laid out, the shooting. Sometimes defensively, I feel like he struggles with like crafty bigs, sort of. But,
post-up guys and stuff like that. I think the one thing right now is his upper body's really big, but his lower body's still kind of like skinnier, so his balance isn't necessarily as good. So I think especially when you're playing post-up defense, you do definitely need your balance a little bit more, or just like get your base stronger. You know what I mean? Like I think and this is again, like obviously he's a 19-year-old, so like there's so much to improve on, but I would either want to see him get much physically stronger, especially in the base, so that he can hold his position better, he can screen better. I think he can again, just like be better in the post, or you go in the other direction and you try to get him to get trimmed even more, and then like just work on him being like more generally athletic in terms of like the quickness, in terms of like the explosiveness, jumping and stuff like that. But again, if you can get him at the 9th pick, I think I'd be more than happy come draft day if the Raptors add Maluach. Okay, let's go to the next draft guide here. I believe is it the Ringer or is it Yahoo here?
You got the Ringer coming up next.
We got the Ringer. Let's go to the Ringer. Who does this Ringer have the Raptors taking at the 9th pick here? Carter Bryant.
Ooh.
Let's show the little blurb here. I think this is from is either Danny Chow or Jay Kyle Mann. Apologies to the either one if I'm wrong about this. Carter Bryant, Arizona freshman, says here, Bryant feels like the most on-brand choice for Masai Ujiri. The Arizona wing would have slotted in perfectly with the funky post-title teams of past years that were loaded with long-limbed defenders. Basically, this is Division 6-9, but Bryant shows enough off-ball and promising floor spacing to be invaluable to whatever the Raptors rebuild looks like. What is your thought on Carter Bryant? Because his name didn't come up as much throughout the course of the college season, but I think since it's been over, and then he also tested really well at the combine. Certainly, he's a guy who's very athletic and he can shoot the three, so I think those things really help you at the combine. And now you're seeing his name pop up more and more to the point where it's like Raps getting him at 9. There's even a possibility he goes even above 9, let's say. But what's your take on Carter?
I want to shout out whoever's doing propaganda for this guy. The way he's climbed up mock drafts.
Yep.
Salute to his agency. I want to know what chat thinks honestly about him, because I'm a bit concerned in terms of like, I feel like this could be like you get fooled by the upside, the potential type of player where it looks good on paper as advertised, but the production's just not there. Like when you think about it.
By the way, to put that in perspective, he did average 6.5 points, 4.1 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block per game in college. Granted, he came off the bench and he didn't play like a ton of minutes. I think it was like 20 minutes a game. Yeah. And over the course of the season, he ended up playing a bigger role at Arizona as compared to the start of the season. But just give you a little context.
Yeah, good context. And especially when I look at his stats, I think he scored 10 plus points once all season. So like, and the shooting, I think everyone's like, wow, the shooting he shot, I think was it like
37.
37? But it's on low percentage. Like it's 2.8 shots a game. Like he's not shooting it a lot. So I think back, and when I think back, I remember watching for the first time actually Hoop Summit last year, but he wasn't on the USA team. Like he was going up against Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, against the world team, Maluach, all these guys. And I thought, I'm like, who's this guy? Like he's kind of has the size. He was shooting the ball, like playing well in transition. I thought he was really good in transition, really good defender. Had this little like mid-range game too. Yeah. And I was like, okay, let me watch Arizona. And I was like, a lot of times I'm like, where's Carter Bryant? And I get it. Caleb Love like kind of runs that team. He takes a lot of the shots.
Sure.
But I was expecting more out of production. But I get the upside. But then I also look back at like AAU, and he averaged like 9 points in AAU. So it's like a lot of it is just like it's hype. It's a lot of hype where I think a team might take the gamble and say, I feel like the Raptors are in a situation where they need to strike on this pick if they keep it, right? If they're drafting, they need like the person they draft has to be like a home run hit,
like a future starter at minimum.
A future starter at minimum.
Yeah.
And I think this, unless they have all the intel and they like the upside and the defense and the 3-and-D potential. I also feel like as Raptors fans, like we saw OG get drafted by the Raptors, and it's kind of like we're in that situation where like another OG, like we need that type of player, and we just lost him. Yeah, what do you think?
I remember seeing OG in Indiana, man. OG was. This will be like if the Raptors drafted OG as a freshman rather than as a sophomore, because by the time OG came out, and of course OG tore his ACL, so his second season was limited. It was actually expected for OG to miss some time in his rookie season as well, but the Raptors got him right to the point where he was able to play from the start of his rookie season onward. And by the way, he did become a starter pretty quickly, but OG in that season was averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks per game. I also think that like the tape on OG popped a little bit more. Like he had some really highlight dunks. Let's actually show some Carter Bryant tape, because I think, so to your point, okay, he did only score double digits once. I had to verify this. He scored double digits 5 times in college. His career high is 14 points. We're actually going to watch that footage right here of him putting up 14 points. And I wanted to get your sense of not just what he does offensively, because I think this kind of really shows a good... And by the way, a big shout out to this channel called Kashigi on YouTube. A very small channel, but also at the same time, they do a lot of really good stuff in terms of showing like all possessions. So you're not only seeing the highlights. If you see a guy only make shots over and over again, like that's obviously going to influence sort of like what you think of them, rather than sort of watching the idea of like what they typically do in a game. But good like
location, like good cutter, I think too. Like he can play in space.
Yeah.
Knows where to be. Like just has that instinct.
Right there, you go. You see him making that Danny Green cut along the baseline.
Yeah.
He's a little short there.
But it's like a lot of it too. I'm thinking like he could finish there. I think he's really good in transition. Like the defense to me will be there on day one. That's what I'm not concerned about.
Okay.
It's just the shot creation, I don't think it's there.
Well, the shot creation is not there. I know that there is like high school footage, and you've seen him, like, for example, play and more on the ball, handle it, create, basically look like your prototypical wing who can create offense. But I think one of the issues is, especially, look, you got to show me a little bit at the higher levels. You know what I mean? I think that like, it's not like that Arizona team was lighting people on fire either. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, you know what? It's like Maluach, like on Duke. It's like, okay, I'm not expecting him to shoot a bunch of threes because they have such a great team that you got to play your role. In this kind of instance, I'm just kind of like, well, this looks like they use the most effective way to sort of use them here, which largely speaking is him playing. Like that's the one clip that we have of him in this game where he's like largely dribbling. He gets getting stuck and makes like an okay pass out of it, but mostly it was a bailout pass. But like you're largely seeing him play off the ball in the baseline area, shooting some threes from that sort of zone. And I think you'd have to really like project. Now, granted, like he has the body, I think that like you really like in NBA players now, like 6'7", maybe even 6'8". He's a little bit stronger than I think maybe than your average like guard as well, in terms of just like, he's got. It's not like a lanky, like for example, like Cedric Coward's also another guy that's mentioned. I feel like he's like really lanky, like really skinny versus
his
like
measurements
Carter.
Were insane.
His length is great, but like at the same time, like he's like if you took Chris Boucher and put him into a guard's body almost. Whereas I feel like with Carter Bryant, he has more of like that size to sort of be more imposing, and especially defensively, you kind of hold your ground a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to really, really like the three, I think, first and foremost, and then you have to really believe in the defensive ability. The defensive ability, I think, is probably the most bankable thing. But even if you watch some of these clips, like there are moments where I'm just like, he's like, I mean, like again, he's a freshman coming off the bench, so I'm not saying he's a perfect player, but there are some mistakes in there where he's like reaching a little bit, or he's like out of position,
he gambles
anticipating. He gambles. Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing I keep noticing is like he will kind of gamble a little bit, but again, like he has like the like just the body and the tools to be a guy who can eventually, you know, be a shutdown defender. But to me, it's not giving me the same OG sort of impression out of Indiana.
Yeah, I agree with that because especially too, and then it just comes down to like work ethic, right? It's like, do they think the intel, like, what's this guy like behind the scenes? Is he going to be the gym 24/7? Can we mold him into the type of player that we are, right? And I don't know, it makes me question too. It's like there's always this debate about, and I saw someone say this recently, which I really agreed with. It was like just this debate of like best talent fit. I feel like he fits like what the Raptors need, especially since we lost OG.
Yeah. We don't have a 3D guy. You're right.
But also, I think when it comes to like you're saying you want best talent, you're gonna want a guy that can fit in your system where you can maximize that talent, where you know you can put him in a situation where he's gonna excel, right?
Yeah.
And I think the situation that he might be in, I think he might play in the G League. Honestly, I think he's gonna be a guy that might take some time. But at the upside might be through the roof, where the Raptors might be like, you know what, we need a guy that can defend right away. We need a guy that can help Scotty, that can, because when you think about who can guard on the Raptors a six, like the Jason Tatums of the world right now, we don't really have, like Ochai is probably your best option right now, right?
Yeah, well, Ochai did guard Jason Tatum when Jason Tatum hit the game winner on us earlier this year.
So like, no, I think Ochai is a solid defender, but if that's your benchmark where you feel like you need this, then you might take the risk and be like, I want to believe in the upside of Carter Bryant and do it. I struggle with just like taking a guy based off a lack of production, but they honestly might, because he's been rising. I'm just saying, shout out to
he's been rising like crazy.
He's been rising. Dude, that's what I'm saying. He could fool an organization, man. They can just believe in that, and then they can get trapped.
Obviously, look, we're giving a little bit lower of an opinion on him versus like elsewhere where you could find certainly like higher opinions on him, and like I think that's maybe normal. Like you're probably gonna sort of see a fluctuation or variation. I think the one thing that concerns me a little bit is like, so there's two ways to look at this. Number one is like, okay, the other two guys we looked at, right, with the Derik Queen and Khaman Maluach, those two guys have an elite skill. I think with Queen, it's the agility and plus the size. So he's able to, like, you know, create space. Even when there is no space, he can operate in tight corners. He can bump a guy, and then he has the touch to kind of go with it. I think maybe even the elite skill could be his handle as a center, because you really don't see a lot of guys with the handle at that size. Maluach, it's the size. Bro, this guy will be like one of the 10 biggest players in the league, maybe top 5 biggest players in the league as soon as you draft him. With Bryant, what would that be like? This is the elite skill. Like, no matter what, we can fall back on this.
It's the defense, and then it's like, do you trust the sample size of the shooting? That's the question. It's like, so it's like the defense, and then it's like, I don't know. Everything else is kind of iffy, kind of question mark.
But that's the thing. He's got to be a shutdown defender then, because like that's got to be like the guarantee, and maybe he will be. You know what I mean? I think like he certainly has like some that size and the ability, but I think that's the part where you start to get a little shaky. I think the other part too is just like, what are your secondary skills that you fall back on, right? Maybe with Derik Queen, I'm just like, you know what? He doesn't have necessarily like, okay, maybe the defense isn't necessarily great, or like the outside shooting is not kind of non-existent, but like I can play you in a different, like couple different systems, because I think you have good like intuitive sense offensively. This is where to go. I think you're a good rebounder. I think you're a good passer. And again, like you can use them maybe as a post-up hub, or maybe you can use them as a roll man. But like there's different scenarios you can use them. I think, well, at minimum, I think that those secondary skills going to bank on there. Carter Bryant is kind of like feast or famine. You know what I mean? It's just like it's 3-and-D, and if he doesn't do 3-and-D, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why do we take him with the 9? Because he's got to do both. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I'm also wondering, can he be a guy that can attack a closeout type of situation? The handle's not there yet, so it's like, that's where I see more of like a long-term prospect, where I'm like, if you believe in your scouting and you really think everything's gonna click long-term wise, and the handle's gonna come, all that kind of stuff, you can develop him right. Yeah. He's the guy, but it's a big risk. I think he's a big risk at 9. I would, but that's the thing too. When Raptors drafted Jacoby or they drafted Grady, and I kind of like save my like reservations when they draft guys because I'm like, you know what, these guys are in the gyms 24/7. They're watching these guys.
But even Grady was like, I mean, that's the thing. You just can't compare like shooters, like any two shooters, without looking at the tape.
Yeah,
because Grady's like flying around. He's like taking like quick transition pull up threes. He's like fading. Guys are like covering all over him. You know what I mean? And Grady was still hitting 40% at that level.
Yeah.
Right. And then you come to the league now, and it's just like Grady can't hit 40% just yet because like there's a difference in size, and he started off a little bit slow. We've seen flashes of that. The thing is, like, the more I think the more comparable would be like even like Ochai. Ochai, by the way, did a lot in college, but obviously he was a 4-year senior and national champion at Kansas. But like Ochai, you could definitely see like a difference in terms of like the type of threes he takes versus the type of threes Grady takes. So even though Ochai has a higher percentage, Grady's going to be way higher on the scouting report just based on his style of usage. So,
and one thing too, I think his free throw percentage was like 60 something. Can you confirm that with me? So like that's like if people look at free throws, like I said, as an indicator of whether they can shoot, and that can help them.
69.5. Let's give him 70. That's 70.
I feel like that's bad for a guy that's supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. Like we're gonna talk. I don't know if I should spoil it, but I feel like one of the guys that we were gonna talk about shoots like really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know that's what he's gonna do, right? Like so.
All right, so you and I are both a little low on Carter Bryant. By the way, the Ringer has Carter Bryant at 9. Yahoo also.
Shout out to the Ringer. What I'll say about those kind of mock drafts and like what I like about some of these guys, like they're okay with being wrong. Like they're okay with like just taking a risk and be like, I think this guy has a long-term potential, right? So some of these mock drafts that we'll see, like they'll be out of the consensus, right? Like ESPN. I feel like some people look at ESPN and they'll try to follow that, right? But some of these other mock drafts kind of like go out of their way to be like, you know what? I feel really high about this person, and I'll put them on my top 8 or 9. And you see Carter Bryant here.
Yeah, there you go. This is from Kevin O'Connor's report over at Yahoo. But he said, Bryant is a rangy, athletic forward who projects as a highly versatile defender. And though he is raw as a ball handler, he's a skilled spot-up shooter and a hyper-aware cutter. At minimum, he has the baseline skills to be a great role player with the upside to sometimes be much more. Raptors obviously like him for blah, blah, blah. His high-end outcome. I think that's the thing. His high-end outcome, like, he can certainly like be really good if he develops more of a handle, if he develops more of a 3. He's a very good athlete too, by the way. I feel like that should be mentioned. His comparisons here, which I think are interesting, are like Jeff Green, Trey Murphy III. Trey Murphy III, I think, would be like the absolute best outcome for a guy like Carter Bryant, which again, I would not be upset at all if the Raptors ended up with Trey Murphy III.
And I like them mentioning like strong fit next to Scotty. If everything clicks, off-ball shooter, I think that will work. And transition, I think he's shown flashes where like he's really good in transition. Whether it's like reading the passing lanes, that kind of stuff, and be able to play make off of that. I think he's solid.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report, this is from Jonathan Wasserman. I think this was like at least 2 weeks old, so maybe this will kind of move around. Because I've seen Kon Knueppel's name higher than 9 at the Raptors. But Kon Knueppel from Duke, the small forward, 6'6", 217 pounds, 19-year-old American. Every team figures to have some level of interest in Kon Knueppel's shot making, efficient scoring, and easy fit. The question is who will see the upside through the athletic limitations. The pro comparison here was Cam Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets. What do you think of Kon Knueppel, man?
He's a guy I remember like during the off season, right before college season started, like you just hear whispers that like Kon Knueppel is going to be a first round pick, like he's going to go in the lottery. Like you'd hear that, and I'm like, who's this Kon Knueppel? And then you kind of look into it. I think he was like one of the leading scorers in the Nike YBL like a year prior. And I'm like, who's this Kon? Like Kon who? And then you watch the tape of this guy, and man, the shooting is on another level. Like he's always prepped, he's ready.
Hold on, let's watch that tape right now, man.
And he does like, I feel like a little bit of everything, like just coming off right there. I think he improved. You see, like missing he used to be like, I think at the beginning of the season, like he struggled, especially finishing at the rim.
Yeah,
the athleticism is probably like is gonna be his biggest like question mark, and like how he's gonna be able to translate that to the NBA level where you're guarding now. He's 6'7", right? You're guarding guys that are like his size, 6'8", these athletic wings. That's probably the biggest question. But he's been approved. Like, look, that's a crafty finish right there. He gets fouled, right? But being able
that should have
to, like,
been and one.
Using like fake pump fakes, being able to like footwork, I feel like improved a lot too. And yeah, I like the way like they used him to having him come off of like curls, pin downs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a perfect complement to Cooper Flag, honestly. Just
for
the
sure.
way he's a guy that I think attacking closeouts, he knows how to do it very well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because, like, it's the outside shot, man. And, like, if I'm going to bet on anybody being a great shooter in this draft, it's Kon Knueppel.
Yeah.
Like, I think the form is super repeatable. Oh, what's he going to do in the post? What? Wow,
okay.
Footwork. Yo, he posting up.
Yeah. If, like you said, I would bet on him being, like, out of this class, like, being a 10-year vet. Like, I could see that. Just does the simple stuff. I think he's a safe pick. I've heard that term a lot. And if he falls to 9, I'm licking my chops if I'm the Raptors.
If I get a safe pick at 9, I think I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
And
like,
look, this is just a craft, man. Like the spin move, like he wasn't doing this at the start of the season, and then man.
Oh, he got a dunk on somebody? Okay.
So he
tried it. He tried it.
But then you look at his frame, and you're like,
yeah,
another Grady Dick. That's not the case.
That's
not the case here at all. He can defend too. I think he's a solid defender, probably at best, but I think he's better than Grady at least. That's probably my biggest
he's
question.
Stronger. I think that's the thing, because like Grady's more like Luigi and he's more like Mario. You know what I mean? Like he a little like stockier, even though he's like not that much shorter than Grady. But Grady's like, so Grady's 6'8", but I always thought that like Grady should be like 6'6.5", because his neck is like an extra like inch and a half.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like not talking neck comparisons, but like this guy got a crazy neck. But like I think with Kon, like it's just how repeatable and compact the shot is, bro. Every shot looks the same from 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that's like really, really impressive. You saw some secondary ball handling with him. I'm curious to see whether or not he'll do that at the next level in terms of getting his own shot. I would say he was mostly trying to create and play pick and roll. Actually, with Maluach quite a bit. I felt like he probably assisted Maluach more than anyone else on Duke.
Yeah.
And like I think that would help, right? Like for him to sort of, if he were to play more on ball, then he needs to have like a big roller, big lob target, so that he has something else to sort of bail out into. Because he's not a guy who's gonna pull out some like moves at the rim and like, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be some crazy athletic finish or dunking or, you know, even a reverse layup or anything like that. But like you could definitely see, like, I don't know. For me, when I first saw him, I was like, is this like Bogdanovic? You know what I mean? Because Bogdanovic can also kind of play the point a little bit, but largely speaking, he's like a really good shooter.
Yeah, I think he, like, see, my biggest issue is like he's gonna be guarding what, like 2s, 3s in the league maybe.
I think ideally 2s, maybe not the on-ball 2s.
Yeah, and I think that's my concern. Can he stay in front of 2 guards in the NBA? Because that's and the way he navigates screen, I think, is like really bad. I think that's what he needs to improve on. Probably like one of the main things. But look at that pass right there, man. Just knowing where the defense is at.
Yeah.
That's probably like I think guys are gonna want to dance with him. Like I want Kon Knueppel on the ISO, man. If I'm a Kyrie,
you know how the NBA works, man. If they see a white guard out there, they're treating him like that. Like that's 100% of the time until you prove otherwise.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Will you draft Kon, considering now that you have Grady, you got Jacoby kind of in this kind of guard sort of rotation, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Jacoby can probably play the 3 a bit, but like, what are your thoughts on having another guard in your system? Unless if you're making a trade, then it doesn't matter at all. But
yeah, I think you're basically like gonna make a trade because like, I think like you have Ochai as well, who I think primarily should play 2 for you.
So 4 2s? Someone gotta go.
Yo, what were you playing? President? Man? Yeah, no, but like it's like it's you'd have to believe one of them can play small forward long term, but realistically your team's probably just gonna be a little undersized. I think Jacoby could probably fill out a little bit more. And again, I think Grady maybe long term, if he can get a little bit stronger, I think he probably is more of a 3 than a 2 for me. But yeah, I think that is a concern. I think I like this comment here in the chat because like I think we're giving a more optimistic view. I think one of the things that I do notice is like this is from Khaman. He says, "What's going on here? Kon plays small," and I feel like he does kind of play small. I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't really shoot that well at the rim, and like he doesn't. I don't know. Like, I think there's a certain way for like small guys to still be imposing. You know what I mean? Like Alex Caruso, he's not necessarily small, but he plays like he's like 6'11" or something with how handsy and how physical he is. You know, Kyle Lowry was only like 6'1" at best, and he was still super physical. You know, TJ McConnell, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that sort of like element that I don't quite get in that grittiness from Kon. But then again, I don't know the defensive numbers, like in terms of like the matchups. And I don't know how reliable some of this stuff is, but like he actually held guys to like pretty efficient shooting. You know what I mean? Like. Or pretty inefficient shooting, I would say. Like, guys were shooting like 30% off of him. Like, that's really good.
The biggest thing for me, and I don't want to say other guys on the Raptors don't do this, but he tries like on defense. Like he dives for loose balls. Like he's giving effort. Like he'll throw his body on the line for
That's like half the battle. I'm not gonna lie to you.
To me, that's like I don't like. You could be an average defender if you're doing that kind of stuff. That goes a long way. Like we're watching like T.J. McConnell like making winning plays just off of doing that in the NBA Finals, right? But yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know if this. I don't like making comparisons, but I kind of see like a Austin Reeves type of situation where like he's
I'd
not
be thrilled if he was Austin Reeves.
He's not your like primary like ball handler, but he can like create. He's smaller. Can
he foul bait like Austin Reeves? Because I feel like Austin Reeves, you know what I mean? He'll jump into you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I
haven't seen that from him,
also,
I'm not gonna lie.
Don't take my comps serious because I'm just comparing another white dude to another white dude right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
So like
that's fair. That's fair. But
and that's kind of like when I was watching him all season. I'm like, you know what? Austin Reeves a bit, but I'm not someone that I can tell you that I know for sure like this is gonna be Austin Reeves.
I would say for people who think he might be Austin Reeves, he's not nice like Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is nice.
No, he can the handles way better with Austin Reeves. He can finesse it a bit too. So yeah.
Oh, don't worry, man. You got approval here, man.
As a white dude, I approve.
Thank you. We'll move on now.
Yeah,
we won't overdo it. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind Kon. I think the real issue is like, as you mentioned, there are a lot of shooting guards. You'd have to really sort of figure out sort of how you would play long term. Having said that, though, more shooters on the team, especially guaranteed shooters. You know what I mean? Like I think there's like good promising shooters, like a guy like Carter Bryant.
Yeah.
Or like, I would say both Maluach and Queen are like speculative at best shooters, like hopeful shooters. Kon is a guaranteed shooter for me.
Yeah, and 91% free throw line, man, 40% shooter.
Yep.
He's what I think people are talking about the upside. He's showing it. He's proven it on a good team.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Arizona's also a good team, but I'm just saying like. He's done it on the biggest stage. Like Duke was in every big game, probably.
Duke should have won the national championship if not for. Well, I mean that's also why Maluach's stock dropped for a bit because I was like, holy, those rebounds.
Yeah, that's a work in progress.
No defensive rebounds. Yeah.
Well, don't worry, Maluach. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Just come to Toronto.
We'll bulk you up, man. Don't worry. It's all good. Okay, let's go to the last two mock drafts that we have here. Next one I think is from SB Nation. Ricky O'Donnell over at SB Nation has done great work. Actually, a long time blogger. Shouts to Ricky. But who does SB Nation have us taking? Ace Bailey, number 9. The description here: Bailey likely won't be on the board at 9, but this would be his absolute floor. The Raptors have an affinity for players like Bailey as a 6'9" wing with elite high school pedigree who is still growing into his body and his game. Bailey's talent is obvious from the moment he walks into the gym as a tall wing scorer with fantastic shot-making ability and elite tools. Listen, if Ace Bailey starts sliding on draft night and there is a chance for the Raptors to scoop him at 9 or even trade up and maybe get him a little bit higher than this, go ahead and do it, okay? No one will complain if you swung on a player with Ace Bailey's talent. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work out, because, like, you know what? He just never passes or, like, he's a little shorter than, like, Rutgers was saying he was 6'10" all year. Turns out he was 6'7". You know what I mean? Like, come on, dog. Like, what
that
are
was
we
a
doing?
that was a bad hit on him.
This ain't a Hinge profile, but, like, the talent, you have to. Like, I'd actually be really mad if he was on the board at 9. The Raps didn't take him.
Upside wise, I might take him 2, just off of upside.
That's what
if everything hits.
Yeah,
I might even take him over Cooper. Honestly, if everything hits,
bro. Okay,
everything
relax.
If everything hits,
relax, bro. Relax.
If everything hits, he's like another Kevin Durant, to be honest. If everything hits, but that's very unlikely, of course, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a special. Like the shot making at his size, he can rebound well.
He actually started defending a little bit better later.
Man.
He started
tunnel vision.
The defending started coming around too. Like he started being more disruptive at least. Because like again, he's like a really good athlete and he's like really long and wiry. I mean, he's not a 6'10", but like, you know what I mean? Like he was disruptive, man.
Yeah, I do think if he slips, it will come down to intel. It'll come down to like, what's the vibe like with Ace Bailey? Is he good for your culture? What's that team? Because you've been hearing a lot of just whispers about that kind of stuff about.
But bro,
and you see,
is it like whispers like he's a bad kid or something? Like,
no. I think it's just
or
like
he just want to shoot all the time.
He just wants to shoot outside. Like,
bro, that's coaching. You could coach a guy out of that. You could be like, yo, listen, I'm here to swinging the ball.
But I don't know. At Rutgers, man, that's why I give him grace. At Rutgers, it's only him and Dylan Harper. Like that team was not good.
That's why they didn't even make the tournament, man.
Yeah, so that team wasn't good. And he had the games that he had, I think he had close to 40 or 40 in one game. Like no one does that in college.
The shot making ability is absurd.
Yeah. So when he's hot,
yeah,
man, I'd be shocked if he falls to 9, man. Something's got to be wrong. Ooh. But you know what? Too, I'll give him credit too.
What's gonna be wrong? If it's not an injury, I'm okay with it. Like even if it's personality or whatever, like just. I mean, first off, these are kids, so I don't want to project like he's got a bad personality. 19. That's ridiculous.
I don't think he does. That's the thing. I think he's like
he just want to shoot all the time.
He just wants to shoot all the time, and I think he probably fit well. Like I feel like the Raptors culture already. Like you're coming in, you're gonna adjust to it, right? Yeah. You're gonna come in, you're gonna like the vibe is it's good vibes right now, right? We're in a good place, but I will say he will be an all-time like quote. Like media wise,
oh yeah.
The quotes he gave at the combine, I was like, this guy, like, I don't know if he's PR trained or anything like that, but I would love to just chat with Ace Bailey all day.
Yeah, whatever.
I just overheard and I was like, I do respect wanting to shoot all the time. That's all it is.
Yo,
hey, we remember you.
Yo, I'm just saying,
get you the ball.
I like guys that are like, you know what? First off, the shot making ability is crazy. Like, and on some of these shots, his highlights don't look like anyone else's highlights in the top. Maybe in the whole first round. No. Like Cooper Flag, responsible, taking the right shots. You know, Kon Knueppel, even more responsible, even taking the better shots. You know what I mean? Everyone's like playing like decently in the role, even if they're star players. You know, even point guards. You know, like you see some pretty aggressive ones like Fears or Yakuchonis like shoots a lot of threes and step backs and stuff like that. Bailey is taking the hardest shots of anybody that you see, like all the tape, man.
Right.
Even as compared to his teammate, which I think is kind of interesting, because like you look at Harper, like Harper is still mostly getting like good shots, like going to the rim, finishing effectively.
I will.
But Ace Bailey is like, oh, that Kawhi shot, I want to take that. Yeah. Like I want to take that 5 times a game.
He'll do it. My biggest concern though with him is the finishing at the rim at times.
Sure.
Like at his
that
size.
Shot selection though. That shot selection.
Yeah. So I would have loved to see more of like improved finishing, like more counters type of finishing. But and I don't know, he's athletic, but he's not like when he's driving to the rim, I feel like it doesn't pop as much. But he's caught some guys though. I
was gonna say I would not be surprised if he like he has the athleticism to like be in a dunk contest. Do you disagree with that? Yeah.
But I'll be shocked though. At 9,
watch out, Mac McClung.
Oh, Mac McClung, man. Goodness, man.
Get that man out of there.
Enough, man. Enough.
I'm tired of that show.
Yo, it's cool.
Get
man.
him to like actually play basketball. Like I
actually start a YouTube channel, man. That's my advice to Mac. You know what I mean? Like he'd be a great YouTuber.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe the professor can go on tour.
Yeah.
He's probably better than the professor hoop wise, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's got to be at this age. So
there you go.
Yeah. Right. Where do you actually think Ace is gonna go? Because I feel like
I'd be shocked if he falls from.
I don't think Philly's a great fit for him, to be honest. But
no,
Charlotte,
Philly,
bro. You think Charlotte at 4? Do you think they'll be able to turn down a guy like Ace Bailey? Because I feel like
Charlotte though, I'm looking at my situation like Ace Bailey, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. How does this
right
fit?
in, man? Yo, Charlotte Hornets is an AAU team, man.
Miles Bridges, like, is like.
Well, let's get rid of him already.
Yeah, it's literally like an AAU team. Like,
that's what I'm saying. He's perfect.
It's not a real life organization. Like that team is gonna be. I would watch it just to watch the chaos of it all. But you know, I'm high on Trey Johnson. I think he's 5 for me. Like if anything like that.
Yeah.
Trey Johnson, I feel like I would take 3. And then to me, Ace Bailey's kind of like 4 or 5, depending how you feel about VJ and like what you have there.
Fair enough.
But VJ, I could see also going to Philadelphia, honestly. But if I'm
VJ, I think is probably the right fit for Philly. But I also think Philly's gonna try to they're making a lot of noise right now. Like they're gonna trade up to 2. Yeah. They might trade down. They might trade the pick altogether. Yeah. It's Daryl Morey with the number 3 pick. He's gonna make as much noise in the media as possible.
Yeah, Trey Johnson, man, I would love it if they did that.
Yeah, listen, if Trey Johnson starts sliding, again, trade up for him too, man.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. He shoots it. Like, when we talk about Kon Knueppel.
Yeah, it's him and Kon. Yeah.
Like, him and shooting-wise, like, there's other guys that are probably, like, second-round picks, late first-round guys, but, like, those guys shoot the cover off the ball.
Okay. Let's go to the last mock draft that we have on this list. Libaan, I don't know if you know about NBA Draft.net, bro.
Of course I do.
You know about NBA Draft.net?
No way you calling me young like that. Come on.
I was gonna say this website older than you. I think
I know the guy that runs it.
Really? Who is he?
Oh
my god!
But when you go out to these events, I feel like you at the combine, that kind of stuff. I feel like I ran into him.
You met Mr. NBA Draft.net.
Probably don't know him by name though, but I'm like, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I've never seen a name put on any of this.
Yeah.
But shouts to NBA Draft.net. I always like to put them on here because they got some like stranger picks. Like for example, you don't see Nolan Traore going 6 to the Wizards anywhere else. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's pretty creative. But this one, he has the Toronto Raptors taking Noa Essengue. He is actually still playing over in Germany. They're in the playoffs right now. So he's actually not going to be part of any of the pre-draft combines and stuff like that. Like he's busy. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't really get an interview or, you know, whatever. Like you had to fly out to Germany to sort of get some of this stuff done. But in any case, he's kind of like the international man of mystery. And I've seen his name rise up quite a bit too. I see the vision. But I think the question with this is always like how much of this is just like that's him right there. He's really lanky, shooting the free throw. You can see like he's got kind of like that Bruno Caboclo body basically. He's not as long as Bruno. I don't think anyone is. Yeah. But like that's kind of the idea, and it's like, well, I mean, first off, he's definitely way more skilled coming into the league than Bruno. I don't think that's even fair to compare. Bruno was averaging like 5 points in Brazil. Somehow, like Masai found him. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what do you think of Noah based on the tape that you've seen him? By the way, this is like him playing against like pros. Like I think Matt Thomas is actually on the other team. By the way, for Alba Berlin. I'm pretty sure Matt Thomas played on that team. Nice. So yeah.
I'm kind of iffy. I'll be honest. I don't watch a lot of international basketball, like these type of things. But around
you're not tapping into Ratio Farm Ohm versus Alba Berlin.
I got better things to do, man. I'm not watching this. This league. But what I'll say is, what I find about this time of the year, usually there's like a few international players like still playing,
man. Yeah.
And that's when the hype draws because they're the only people playing, and everyone's just like, let's go watch this tape. Let's go watch the game. So the hype gets magnified even higher, right? Like he's the only guy playing, so when he has a good game, everyone's gonna talk about it, right? And that's where he falls into this type of. I think he's a long-term guy though. I see him like also just like a guy that will probably spend time in the G League.
He probably will spend time in the G for sure.
Yeah, so I think he's ways away. I've seen he's good in transition. He gets out really fast. Like he's that type of guy.
What? Low key, I kind of hate when people say they're good in transition because I'm like, are you supposed to be bad in transition? Like.
No, but like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like
if you can't score in transition, you can't score at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I've seen people say just like in terms of like being able to like get out like a Pascal Siakam, like being able to run out as fast as you can. Like he kind of people see that kind of similarity. Exactly. You see that he's a Bilal Koulibaly. Like Bilal Koulibaly had amazing end to his 2 years ago in France, and then he flew. He drew like he rose all the way up to like I think it was like the 6th or 7th pick by Washington. Yeah. So he's like. I think that's what he is. He's the Bilal Koulibaly of this draft, where a lot of people are hyped about him. The defense, I feel like, is there. But I don't know. Everything else is kind of just like a question mark, right?
Well, the shooting is a question mark. I think that's first and foremost. Like, if he was shooting at a higher level, which, again, like there's so much for guys to be able to improve on. And none of these guys can come in perfect at 9. None of these guys that we talked to are going to be perfect at 9. Yeah. But I think with him, it's like if the shooting doesn't pop, then you're just telling me, like, largely speaking, you're scoring in transition. Like, first of all, that's a great pass. Yeah. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it starts to get to the point where I'm just like, okay, then what's a coach supposed to do with you right now? Like, if we're tanking for the season, we can play, you know what I mean? Like, figure out maybe a little bit. But largely speaking, you're not going to be contributing, right? Because, like, what is that NBA skill you're walking with right now? Like, the length and stuff, like, you can always say with the long guys, like, okay, he's going to really guard and be disruptive. I can see that. You know, but also he's kind of skinny and his hips are really high. So like it's not like guys aren't gonna be able to score on him. You know what I mean? He's not like a shutdown kind of guy. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. And when you watch some of the tape, I do notice he gets a lot of free throws and stuff like that. But a lot of it is like he is physically like longer and like more advanced than most of his competition, especially in the German league.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that that's fake. I'm sure that like his length is gonna play in the NBA as well. Like that's a really good steal. Like that's gonna be a real thing, right? But like. Realistically, like I feel like this definitely would take like 1 or 2 years, and there is one random French forward that always pops up at the draft. Like last year it was Tidjane Salon, the year before that it was Bilal Koulibaly. You just never know, man. Like I think maybe the infrastructure for scouting in France is like still probably needs a little bit more development and like just like time to sort of look at what they can be because there always seems to be one riser like Killian Hayes like a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like. So it's not fair to lump them all these guys in together because they really have nothing to do with each other than they're all French. But like, you never know. I think maybe the hope with him is like he can be like a Nick Batum type of player, which again I'd be thrilled to get a prime Nick Batum at 9 would be amazing.
Yeah, he's switchy too. I think he can guard like 1 through 5. Like I think that's like the projection.
He's too skinny for that right now.
5 is crazy, but like he can guard ones. Like he's like his feet, like he moves pretty well. He needs to get stronger. That's why I'm like, if everything hits, I think he can guard at least 1 through 4.
Okay.
So, like not saying like he's gonna guard ones, but it's like he can switch onto it. That's what I'm saying when he got 1 through 4. Obviously, I think he'd probably guard 4s. That's the thing. You do like a whole year in the weight room, man. Probably that's for him. The mechanics, I feel like he has a good shooting form though. That kind of intrigues me. There's nothing broken about it from the way he shoots it. Yeah, but it's a pick where I'm like, the Raptors need to hit, right? Are you gonna bank on this? You need a guy that I feel like they need a guy that can contribute right away off the bench, potentially too, if they're gonna keep the pick. If they just say they stand pat, right? Say they don't do any trades, right? Which honestly I doubt. I think they're gonna do something this summer. But say the roster stays as it is, right? And he comes in, I don't think he gets minutes right away. I think he's in the G League long term. I think him, who's the other guy we mentioned? I think probably Carter Bryant. Those are the guys I probably see in the G League. The other guys I kind of see making like a direct impact. I could be wrong, but I think Noa Essengue is like he's I don't want to say the Bruno Caboclo a few years away from a few years away, but
nah, he's not that level, man. Come on,
yeah,
nobody's ever going to be as unskilled coming to the league as Bruno. I'm sorry,
yeah,
bro. That was amazing.
Yeah, but he's a guy that if it hits, man, that's a big draft pick. That's a good pick that you're looking back on. That you're like everything worked out. The size, the length, man. I think I forgot what his wingspan is too, but
it's big, and he's also really young too. I think he's like only 3 days older than Cooper. So he's like he got like a December birthday. He's like 18 still.
So you got a lot to work with, yeah.
He got a lot to work with, man, and he is playing against pros. Like I'm not saying I don't see the vision. I'm just saying that like I think objectively there's gonna be a pretty wide range of outcomes for him, and I think that some of the teams taking him, the more secure you are with your situation, like this would be like a great pick for Houston at 10, which I don't think Houston's gonna use their pick. They're definitely gonna trade, and try to make some sort of move and upgrade. But like, if you're OKC, who has, you know what I mean, like
I would love to do
these teams are like, yo, we already had a good team. We could take him in. We could be patient with him. That's where the payoff could be. But if you bring him in and you're like, I gotta play him right away, like you know what I mean, it might start looking like a little shaky, especially at the start. Because like I don't know if you watch any T. Salon over at in Charlotte, and that's a totally different player. But I'm just like, oh man, I was like, yo, this ain't the G League, man. Like go over there and develop. Because you know what I mean. Because like you're not gonna be contributing right away, and that's okay. That's okay. Like I'm not even trying to dismiss people. Like it's just like, you'd have to. You have to really believe in it. So out of these 6 guys that we mentioned, we got Derik Queen, we got Khaman Maluach, we got Carter Bryant, we have Noa Essengue, Kon Knueppel, and Ace Bailey. Let's take Ace Bailey out the way because, like, realistically, if he's there, we're taking him. But like, out of those other 5, how would you rank them 1 through 5 in terms of who Libaan Osman, future GM of the Raptors, will want to see the team take?
Okay, that's interesting because I don't think Khan's gonna be there for the Raptors. I might take Khan
over all those guys. It's possible. Like his range is higher than the other guys right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he's a safe pick. I'm gonna go Maluach number 1 for me.
Okay.
I just think the Raptors need it. I think they need the size. I will go Khan at number 2. I will go Derik Queen at number 3. Carter Bryant at number 4, and then Noa Essengue at 5 for me. That's kind of who I want.
Okay. I think.
How about you?
Just fit wise, I'd probably flip. I'd probably take Maluach 1. Although honestly, I'm closer on between Queen and Maluach. I'm actually closer on those 2. Yeah. Like it's kind of 1A, 1B for me right now. It really depends because they're totally different players. But I've this year we've done the draft cycle a lot earlier than previous years because the Raps were basically tanking from the very beginning.
November pod, I remember that.
Oh man, November. I'm like 7
We were fighting for our life, man.
Yo, he was like, look out for Yegor Demon, man. I was like, oh shit. All right, I can't believe we're already looking out for Yegor Demon. I
think he could rise. Oh my, he might be. Hey man,
I'm just saying, like,
I've heard he shot the ball well and workouts, so maybe.
Would you take him over Noah and Carter?
I might. I don't know. If the shooting is good, I would take.
If the shooting is good, yeah.
If the shooting,
because otherwise, I don't really see how he gets his own shot. And as a shot creator, if you can't get your own shot, I don't really care. I'm sorry, like you're big Rajon Rondo at that point. Actually, even Rondo could get his own shot. Never mind. You know what I mean? But I've basically like looked at this like 4 separate times now, and every time I come back to the same conclusion, like I want one of those 2 centers.
Yeah.
And Kon, I believe in a lot, so I think that that will be fine. If the Raptors talk about 9, I think that I'd be even happy with that. Yeah. Carter, I can see the fit, but you'd have to again really believe in those 2 skills because right now you really only see those 2 potential skills. And then Noah is like a mystery bag. Like I just don't think the Raps are in a position to take Noah right now, man. Yeah. Like weirdly enough, if the Raptors are like firmly committed to a rebuild, rather than like, hey, we're trying to force our way into KD talks, we're trying to call Giannis, like we're trying to compete. Masai got 1 year left on his contract and needs a renewal. I'm just like, if this was like the 2017 Raps or the 2018 Raps, like go ahead, take them. But right now in the given position, you need a guy who can like step in and have some sort of skill right now that can come in and do something. So
if I'm Toronto, I might try to move up, to be honest.
Okay. Well, how? Okay. All right.
Try to move up.
Who are you packaging? Like, who are you dangling? Because like, it's not like we have that many extra assets.
That's the thing. I don't know what we could package. I don't think they have much to package, to be honest.
You think Ochai's moving somebody?
I think he could. Maybe if teams are like, we need a 3 and D guy that can shoot corner threes at a high rate. Maybe they're high on Ochai. But I also think they're kind of in an interesting range. Like they're at 9 where like someone could drop, and then that's when they get a lot of calls, right?
Oh yeah.
I kind of wish too it was like I don't know, the 2-day draft kind of like throws things off, but
sure.
I'm second round pick. I'll be honest. I think they should just trade that. They should. What? Unless they really like a guy at that range that falls, I don't think the second round's going to get.
Is the level that much worse because of NNL?
Yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad, and I think a lot of guys that are like chewing guys, I think they might be like the first 2-3 picks in that second round, and unless you're a big Hanson Yang guy. What do you know about Hanson Yang?
Oh, I'm a big Hanson Yang guy. What do you mean? Bring back Yang Gang.
I was so pissed the way I wish he was playing with Ryan Nembhard at the combine because Ryan would have set him up every single time, would have found him. I forgot who he was playing with, but he was playing with guards that were not getting him the ball, and he was still doing his thing. So
exactly. Get it off Hanson the glass,
Yang, man. Hanson Yang.
Look at that name, too. Hanson Yang is so good, man.
That's like a...
Come on, man. Left hand, right hand hook. You know, he got that little spin move that he does.
Yeah. His defense,
he got big hands.
Like, it's not there. But it's, it's a work in progress.
Name you one shutdown Chinese defender, bro. Like, ever. Ever. Man. Yao Ming played good defense because he was bigger than everyone in the planet, okay?
Yeah.
No, but I don't care about that, man. Listen, it's not even about, okay, whatever. That's one thing. But, like, if we're talking about who's going to bring you a new fan base into your organization. I think Brooklyn, by the way, has like 5 picks, and their owner's Chinese. He got to go to Brooklyn. Let's be 100% real. But if you bring in Hanson, you understand the amount of following in your team.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my. Every comment section is going to be, why don't the coach play Hanson? I promise you this is what's going to happen.
I think he might have had the most like media outside of like Cooper. Like at the combine when he's getting interviewed at media availabilities.
Man, Jeremy was there. Marshall was there. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just joking. No, but hey, that better be your first guess. If you go to Toronto, you guys better.
We better get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
I need an exclusive at Hong Shing. I need a sit down interview.
No. The one thing he doesn't need is Hong Shing. All right, we need him to slim down a little bit more. Yeah.
But yeah,
I would 100% take him. I wouldn't take him like a 9.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, but he's actually very skilled. Like jokes aside, like he actually is very, very skilled.
Yeah.
Good scoring touch as a big man too. So and good size.
But yeah, it'll be interesting, man. What they do with this pick, man. What are your thoughts on just like all the rumors, man? That's going on.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. 1 week before the draft, I don't buy any of the rumors.
Yeah.
I think maybe there might be a 1 in every 10 are true. Because like. The fact that this week alone, we've seen Philadelphia have rumors they want to trade up to 2. We've seen Philadelphia maybe want to trade down. We've seen them maybe want to trade the pick altogether. I'm like, man, come on.
But is it crazy to you that like the Raptors are in like more rumors? I feel like it started kind of with the Ingram thing that they're in more rumors than I don't know. I feel like this organization is kind of like it feels like they're in a.
Oh, you mean that? Yeah.
It's too much leaking going on. Not from their side, of course, but it's like. I feel like people just know what the Raptors are thinking, what the Raptors want to do, that kind of stuff, more than you could say in like previous years.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
It kind of concerns me.
It does kind of concern me because if I'm going to be completely honest about it, because like obviously we have a whole interview with Bobby Webster coming up tomorrow.
Ask him, is Masai staying? 2026, what's going on? That's the first question I want to know.
You thought JQ was going to approve that question? at a damn home for Renfrew event. I hope someone in the Q&A asks them, bro, you're in the Q&A. I'll call your name if you want to ask that.
I'm not trying to ruin that relationship with Bobby.
See?
Hey man, we'll go to what's that, Olive Garden one day maybe.
Oh yeah, Bobby ain't no going to Olive Garden actually, but he'll honestly. Anyway, putting that aside, I think the Raps kind of moving desperate, man. Like, what do you mean? Last year we said, hey, we're going to rebuild, and this year we're like, yo, we're in on Giannis. I mean, whatever. Giannis is, I get it, man, because Giannis is Giannis. He's still in his prime, and also it's like Masai's always wanted Giannis, so I'm not gonna allow that. That's no problem. But like, what do you mean we're gonna be desperate to go in for KD right now? We're trying to force our way into KD. I'm like, what? I mean, yes, KD would absolutely improve the team, but like, are the Raptors winning the East with KD right now with this team? No.
You know what the Giannis situation reminds me of? Kind of like how they were chasing like Thad Young for so many years, and then they get him at the late stage of his career, and it's like, remember that video when Masai came out? He's like, I've been wanting you for how long, and then now everyone looks back at that trade like, I don't know if you should have done it.
Well, let's never compare Giannis to Thad Young.
Of course
ever
not. But I'm just saying, like, I just feel like we're chasing this guy, and it's
I feel like if we got Thanasis right now, no offense to Thad.
Yeah, but like we're chasing this guy, and like, is there interest at all? Really? Like, I just feel like,
wow.
This is like a lot of talk.
If Giannis' name ever floats up, Toronto's name will float up, like or whatever Masai's at, right? But like, no, I feel like honestly, low-key, going into a second year of a rebuild, you take a good player at 9, maybe you make a couple more trades, you develop your current group a little bit more. Like, this doesn't necessarily feel like a time to go all in right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, the East is wide open. I think you just like play it as it is, and then see how this team could play, and then I just want a good defender. Like someone mentioned in the comment, I just want a good defender. Like. Okay. I would say the same thing. I think you need that right now with the way the Raptors have built.
Yeah, guys who will make the biggest instant impact out of the guys on this list, I think Maluach would be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my African brother.
Oh man, that would be fun. He's a really good dude too, man. Really good personality. Everyone just raves about this guy from Duke and basically anywhere he's sort of been around. He's gonna be a fan favorite from day one.
And like I'll tell you this, I think I probably told you this last time we were on. He's the one guy that was asked at media availabilities, like, who did you interview with? Who did you speak with? He kept that close to his chest. Didn't say a word.
Ooh, sounds like you got a promise.
So, like...
sounds like you got a promise.
He's not... Like, he's media trained. He knows what he's doing. I'm probably going to do a story on, like, who worked out for the Raptors, like, the day before the draft. Like, speaking to guys, like, trying to figure out, like, who interviewed, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's not... I'm expecting him to be, like, I worked out for several teams, like, type of answer. Like, he's not going to give the answer. So... But he probably did, right? So
yeah, he probably did. It'll probably in the States too. It probably wasn't here in Toronto.
But he fits the Raptors, like the no leaking, the no talking nonsense about like he's media trained. He knows what he's doing.
I'm not gonna Even before the season was like, I remember it was like one of the last like training camp days, like before the I guess preseason days, and the Raps were already talking about, oh yeah, we going to Duke.
Hey man,
like the season ain't even started yet. They're like, yo man, I'm gonna be a Duke. I'm like, okay.
They could have 3 top 10 picks, man. How crazy is that?
I was crying. I was like,
3 top 10 picks potentially.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, I mean that team is great, man. They should have won the national championship. You know, if Maluk got 1 rebound, maybe it would have changed things. Nah, I'm kidding. So unfair to the kid, man. All right, Libaan, appreciate you. Thank you for bringing so much insight and knowledge into this situation. Everyone go listen to the Canadian Basketball Show. The guests keep getting better and better. You know what I mean? This guy got Canadian national team players on. Yo, I thought your interview about with the women's GM of the Toronto of the Canadian basketball program was really, really good. Sorry, I'm blanking on the guy's name, bro.
Steve Bauer.
Steve Bauer, yeah, that was really insightful, man. It really took you into the hiring process, what the plans are on the women's side. Gave you lots of exclusives as well. Like if you're into Canadian basketball even a little bit, you got to be tapped in. Libaan Osman, Canadian Basketball Show that you see behind his hairline right there, man.
I was gonna say we got Silas Swords coming on this week. Michigan, we got Yvonne Ejim too. A lot of Canada basketball stuff happening. Where FIBA America Cup is starting up. So much coverage. Probably do some draft stuff. Will Riley following him? He's potentially a top first round pick. Ryan Nembhard, like I mentioned. So a lot of good content. Canadian basketball, man, on the rise. You see it in the NBA Finals.
No, and I appreciate that you've created that space too, because you get to know these people a lot more. I love your little interview style where no matter who you're interviewing, you're gonna ask them if they cook chicken parm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's like your Pascal spin move, man. It's gonna happen. You know, you gotta take a couple dribbles, but boom. You know what I mean. So it's seriously it's a congratulations on the show, man. It's a well deserved place, and of course, all you're writing at the Toronto Star, man. This guy gonna be at the NBA draft. Are you going to be following Will Riley? What's happening, man?
Will Riley, some Raptors content. Like I said, who else? Ryan Nembhard. We'll see if he gets drafted.
Of course, that's your client, man.
But yeah, a lot of stuff. I'm excited. This draft is gonna be interesting. Like we said, I think once we get to 3, once the 3rd pick, that's where it gets interesting. The top 2 picks, I feel like are set unless someone trades up. But I feel like the draft starts there. And it's gonna be really interesting tonight.
There you go. All right, Lee, man. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Libaan. I'm actually meeting friend of the show, Evie Kwong, right after this episode. Yes. All right. Well, we're just gonna wrap up the show here. We have a few things here. We're done talking a little draft. We have some NBA Finals basketball tonight.
Must watch tonight, man.
The Indiana Pacers are a 3.00 odd against the Oklahoma City Thunder to go up 3-1 and have a commanding lead / full home court advantage. How's it looking tonight? I feel like we're still always leaning OKC, but do you think there's a chance? Would you put the bet down on Indiana?
Everybody keeps saying OKC, man. And
everybody keeps saying.
And that's fair, because if you look at the larger sample of what they've done in the playoffs, what they've done in the regular season, they do have a better pedigree than the Pacers. However, if you look at this, the one thing is, no matter what, if it's a close game, if it's within 10 points, if it's within 15 points in the fourth quarter, you just feel that inevitability from the Pacers, man. They're going to go smaller. They're going to play faster. They're going to wear you down endurance-wise. I do think OKC is going to win tonight, having said all that.
Sure.
But at this end, because I want this to be a 7-game series, I've enjoyed it so much. Game 3 was phenomenal. But I think you can't discount the Pacers, man. This team has shown that, I think coming into the series, it was like a clear mismatch. It ain't a mismatch. It's a fight to the very death right now. And right now,
interesting. Yeah. I think the way it's starting to feel is like OKC doesn't want to see the Pacers in a close match at any point. Like Game 3, in no way was anything that involving a huge comeback or anything like that. Like the Pacers just played a really good game. I think for all the ways that we think about them historically, maybe because of Tyrese Halliburton, maybe because of their style of play, maybe because of the transition play, we think they can't win in what is a traditional playoff style. But I don't know. I think they're starting to feel a little underrated at this point.
They are underrated, man, because again, I think once they turn it around after the slow start, maybe the first 2 months of the season, when Tyrese was really iffy or whatever, you look at Tyrese right now, he's not iffy to me, man.
No.
You know what I mean? He's looking amazing these days. Actually, a great story by Ramona Shelburne, too, over at ESPN, detailing the really, really close friendship between Tyrese Halliburton and Caitlin Clark. There's a group chat that they're in with Tyrese and his partner and Caitlin Clark and her partner, and just they're just always in the group chat talking nonstop. They both obviously played college in Iowa as well for different schools, but still.
Sure. And Tyrese is
it's really cool. That was a really good story.
He's consistently at Fever games, whenever he has an opportunity. I
didn't know
NBA
he actually operates a women's AAU team as well. So you know what I mean? He's done a lot of work to support women's basketball. I think that's just something that's true and genuine about him. But this is gonna be a really close game.
Actually,
it's gonna be really
speaking
hard
about
fun,
women's
man.
basketball too, I really do like it. It was weeks ago now, but I think it was either Sue Bird who had mentioned that Tyrese had reached out asking Sue about just handling, I guess playoff situations, just generally playmaking, things like that. But genuinely connected to women's basketball and women's sports. Tyrese Halliburton.
Who better to consult than one of the greatest point guards on the women's side, man? Are you kidding
me?
Exactly.
Of all time, period.
I feel you wouldn't. That just makes perfect sense. So I'm fully rooting for the Pacers at this point. I do think OKC wins tonight, though. I think it'll be a 12-point win for OKC.
Yeah, it feels like if OKC wins tonight, it's going to be kind of similar to what we saw in Game 2, where it might just be something done by the third or pretty early in the fourth. But that said, if you to believe in the Indiana Pacers, do scan the QR code below and place your bet with Betway. Finally here, we have a show tomorrow. It's finally here. It's this weekend. Bobby Webster at Holt Renfrew. Thank you to everyone who signed up on both rounds and sold us out. So we're excited to see all of you. We've picked out outfits. I think everything's in play right now. There might have been a little hiccup, and we'll see how that turns out tomorrow. But we'll figure that out too. That's just a little fun teaser that way. But no, You're fitted out. You're ready to go. Will, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
Yeah. First off, apologies. This is when garbage collection has come across my street.
Yes.
And
Thank you for working the mute.
Open. I've been working the mute a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited. First off, I'm excited to talk to Bobby. This is a good time to sort of get information on the organization, but more importantly, just like the one thing I always say to Bobby, I'm just like, like you're so. Like, why are you always trying to be mysterious, man? Like, showcase more of your personality. Let people sort of get to know you a little bit. He's
a charming dude.
He is a pretty charming guy. And I think that the one thing, it's like, it's so interesting because Masai is like so public. And Masai does so many interviews. Masai was just on the Kelly Clarkson show, man. Shouts to Masai. But like, we know so much about Masai. Masai is so forward facing. Masai is like got a million quotables at this point, right? Like, name you one Bobby Webster quote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say that like he's got like I'd rather honestly like for the organization not to be so rah and always out there, and most GMs, most number twos in the league are maybe more reserved than number one. That's like normal how it's supposed to be. But I think he also got a good personality as well, and I'm always hoping to sort of get a little bit more out of Bob when we speak. So I'm looking forward to the chat. It will not be live stream, by the way. I think people are like clamoring.
No, we will not be going live.
We'll put it out next week. So for people who are actually going to be live, like there's going to be you'll have the information first. If Bobby tells us who he's going to pick at the draft, maybe go ahead and tweet that out, and we can aggregate it there. But
sure,
we'll put out the interview itself like next week.
We'll be filming the interview tomorrow, and barring any you never know with live events, but barring no technical difficulties, of course, we'll put everything together and have that ready for next week. We'll put out clips. We'll put out everything. We'll try to capture some behind the scenes. We have a photographer on site. If you're, we're getting a comment here from Chris. Lowell just realized that Bobby looks like a collectible action figure on that pedestal. Look, we were talking about like Bobby having a bigger profile and showing more of his personality. We've been talking about it for a little bit in terms of the most handsome GMs, and the fact that like we have a Rob Pelinka Bobby Webster debate, like this means like I think that's egregious. I think we need to get him out there more, so it's like it's a non-starter.
Yeah, this is handsome Yang, man. We got handsome Yang at home. Yeah, shouts to Mel here. Ask tough questions, no softballs. Guys, if you think that in conversation at Holt Renfrew with Bobby Webster is going to be tough questions for an hour, I promise you that's not going to happen. We will definitely try to get as much information on the Raptors as possible, but let's be real. This is not a press conference.
Also, it's the weekend. It's Holt Renfrew. It's on 3. We're here to have some fun too. I think we want to get into the other side of things. Obviously, considering the draft, considering all the rumors around, Bobby is the person we want to hear from the most about these things, but we also need to know that, one, the Raptors are always going to like keep things close to the vest, and there's no reason why they're going to reveal that on the 3rd floor of Holt Renfrew on Bloor. But we'll have fun with it.
Hey, listen, there is a Q&A portion, so. Ask him there. Ask me like, why did you trade Pascal? Look at him, he's in the finals.
Oh my goodness!
Bobby don't want to see no live chat, man. He's gonna be shook.
No live chat's happening. No. But all that said, no, we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been in the works for a while. We had a bit of we had to like reschedule. We finally got it to today, I think we're really excited to finally get this going and get this off the ground. And I think what's also really exciting, you talked about it in other other situations before, Will, but like this is also something that Bobby wants to do with you and Alex, and I think that's what's going to be really exciting about it also.
Sure. Yeah, I agree, man.
All right. So yeah, anyone who's signed up, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to get some good rest in between because I have myself a long day of trying to figure out how we do a show.
Long day, Hollis Jefferson, baby.
There you go. Yeah, that's everything there. Will, I'm glad we did this.
I'm glad we did this too, Jerome. I appreciate you. I know we said no episode Friday, but it's just anytime you got to talk to Libaan Osman, you have to do it. Libaan, actually, shouts to Libaan, man. This guy,
I love Libaan.
You see the maturation in Liban's game, right? Because like he's starting to throw out like the intel. He's on site. He's in the draft combine. He's in the NBA draft. Like
you can see the
so
maturation
proud of Libaan,
alone.
Yeah.
Within Hello and Welcome, from like his earlier appearances to now.
Yeah, before he was just happy to be on. Now, I mean, he's still happy to be on. Shouts to you, Libaan, but
he's eating that good chicken parm now.
Oh no, he's still going to Olive Garden. It's but he's maybe not going to Bellissimo's as much. You know what I mean? I haven't heard him talk about Bellissimo's in a minute, but there you go.
We got to get him out to Sugo.
You know what? I feel like we owe Libaan a Sugo date. You know what,
Yeah,
Libaan?
let's get him out for a Sugo date.
Come out to my ends, man. What do you know about Lansdowne Station, man? What do you know about the Alibabas right beside Sugo? What do you know about what is that street bar across the street? Anyway, whatever. Thanks everyone for listening. Jerome, I want to let you have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Everyone, have a good weekend. For people tomorrow, we'll see you there. Please come up and say hi, and if you just want to chat or even want a photo or whatever. Like
there will
we
be
want to
time
reciprocate.
before and after the show. Like it is scheduled from 2 to 4, but the show itself is going to go for about an hour, so there should be hopefully time for everyone to get to meet the guys, meet Bobby, get some photos in. But we'll see you all tomorrow.
There you go, man. So thanks everyone for listening. This has been the Hello Welcome podcast presented by Betway, and if we don't see you this weekend, we'll see you probably next week. Yeah, Monday. Not Monday. Maybe Monday night, actually. Post-game react.
I think we're looking at maybe a post-game Monday night.
All right.
All right.
Enjoy your weekend, guys.